Hello and welcome back to another video today here again on Forza Horizon 5 to take a look at the second of the real-life cars from the Hot Wheels expansion, previously having taken a look at the Brabham BT62 along with a couple of the fictional vehicles from the expansion, but today going to be taking a look at this Hennessey Venom F5. It's available in a range of greys, blacks, a rather nice matte black, a blue, a red, and my favourite of the colours, this rather lovely orange. So the Hennessey Venom F5 along with the Jesko Absolute is of course going for that 300 mph record. Before you comment about Bugatti having done that already, they just haven't. That was only run in one direction and they did it without a passenger seat, so was in no way official, although it was still quite an achievement from Bugatti. Anyway, that aside, either Hennessey or Koenigsegg are likely to get this 300 mph official record, so as some kind of comparison, I wanted to see the speeds both of these cars were capable of here in Forza. The Hennessey produces 1,817 horsepower and 1,619 Nm of torque and weighs 1,385 kilos, putting it at S2964 here in Forza, and the Koenigsegg produces 1,280 horsepower and 1,198 Nm, making it much less powerful, and it also weighs 1,420 kilos, making it heavier than the Venom, although it's somehow rated at S2971 for some reason. Now, admittedly this is the Jesko Attack version, so for high downforce track driving, rather than the Absolute, which is designed purely for the top speed. And, well, the Koenigsegg still reached a rather impressive 302 mph here in Forza, which, given it's not even the Absolute, is pretty incredible, with it reaching over 300 even on the flat part of the motorway. The real question, though, is can the Venom F5 reach 300 mph, and is it faster than the Koenigsegg? And, well, yes, it rather unsurprisingly was faster, as that was the wrong Koenigsegg, really, reaching an amazing 312 mph and having hit 311 even on the flat bit of motorway before the downhill. So both of these were set only in one direction though, meaning they are kind of comparable to that Bugatti 300 mph run and not an official style record. But the Bugatti in reality hit just over 304 mph, which actually means the Koenigsegg is slower than that as well as this. So, now that we've concluded that the fastest car from standard here in Forza is one you have to pay for, let's see how it drives on the road. Now, I can immediately say, as we run into the grass, that it doesn't handle as well as the Koenigsegg. Even on the speed run, the straight line, trying to get the power down initially, this thing was kicking the back out all over the place and trying to put me in a tree. Whereas the Koenigsegg, I can't believe I'm saying this, Stiggs would be horrified.
Oh my god!
Was much easier to drive. So yeah, this was a bit of a handful, and I also think the Koenigsegg takes it on looks as well, if I'm being honest. That's not just on the exterior either. I think the interior of the Koenigsegg is a much nicer place to me. I mean, this doesn't even have floor mats. So in terms of upgrades, you'll notice straight away there are no engine upgrades. There are also no engine swaps. There is your usual all-wheel drive swap and your usual horrible Forza Aero in here as well. But there's not a lot you can really do with this thing. I mean, you can put it on slicks. It's on semi-slicks from standard. You can of course make them wider and pop your wheels out a bit further if that's what you wish to do with your vehicle. It's also interestingly not got a race clutch, not even a sport transmission, or a race diff, which I'm slightly surprised by. As suspension, it is of course already race. You can off-roadify or driftify it if you want to completely ruin it. You can roll cage in there, and you could do race weight reduction, but not really all that many options, which compared to the Koenigsegg is rather disappointing. After a quick set of S2 class upgrades consisting of an all-wheel drive swap, wider tyres and wider track, a swap to Hot Wheels tyre compound, which actually makes no performance difference, it was just for the visuals, and a race diff and drive line. As this was an all-wheel drive conversion, it meant I now had a race gearbox, so I had to adjust the final drive all the way to speed, which is about the extent of my tuning here on Forza. Anyway, not at all happy with the result, I decided it was time to go and do some more S2 class open racing. The first race was Barrio de Plano. I immediately found the all-wheel drive made it absolutely fly off the line, even compared to the other all-wheel drive cars. I guess this was just so much more powerful than some of the Lambos and things. And overall it was very fast, particularly on the straights. Unsurprisingly, however, the horrendous oversteer is now replaced with horrendous understeer from that all-wheel drive conversion, which probably made it heavier and have less turn-in. Anyway, luckily this first circuit was quite a power-based track, and I did end up taking the win in the end, although the McLaren F1 in the race was clearly faster than me, as his lap time proved quite a lot faster than me. Anyway, the second track was the Lookout circuit, where I finished second, only to that very fast McLaren from the first race. And finally we moved on to Junas Blancas, where to begin with I thought I'd do quite well actually, because it's got a lot of straights and quite gentle corners. However, these very gentle corners were still too much for the Hennessey, meaning I finished third, which meant I was gradually getting worse throughout these open races. So, before I started finishing any lower down in the races, I thought it was a good time to come back to the festival. So yeah, the Hennessey is incredibly fast, faster than the Koenigsegg. In fact, the fastest car in the game probably from standard, which is, well, good, although it is a paid-for car, which I'm slightly unsure how I feel about. Although it's only fastest from standard, it's not going to be the fastest overall, I don't think, because there aren't that many upgrades available, and around a circuit, as I found out with those S2 class upgrades, it was pretty awful. I think it is always just going to be too powerful and too heavy to be any good at anything. It was quite difficult trying to balance the upgrades to make it even get to the top of S2, so I wouldn't necessarily recommend using this for anything, but it is a very cool thing to have in the game alongside the Koenigsegg, which it unsurprisingly is faster than. So there we go, that is going to do it for a first look at the Hennessey Venom F5 here in Forza Horizon 5. As ever, let me know which of the real-life Hot Wheels vehicles you'd like me to take a look at, as well as which of the made-up ones you'd like me to take a look at next, because I would quite like to take a look at some of the other vehicles from this expansion. But for now, for a first look at the Hennessey, that's going to be all, so thank you very much for watching, and I will be back with the next video very soon.